founder of Tampopo, David Fox, who runs restaurants in Manchester Tier 3 and London Tier 2. David, hi to you.
Hello, how's it going?
All right, thanks. And Sujith Dalmaida's here as well, the owner of Urban Tandoor Restaurant in Bristol, Tier 1. Sujith, hi to you.
Hello, very well, thank you. How are you doing? You okay?
We're good, thanks. Yeah, David meets Sujith, Sujith meet David.
I'm jealous.
Hello.
Yeah, what, you're jealous of his Tier 1, are you, David?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those days must seem a long time ago, David. Now, for you...
Eternity, a lifetime.
Yeah. How on earth are you juggling it all now then between Tier 3 and Tier 2, trying to get your head around everything?
It's very difficult. I've been working, trying to work out what I can do with my team in terms of coming at the end of this furlough, then the new scheme that was in November. Now we're into Tier 3. What can I do with my team? And then there's the announcement today. So it's a bit like, watching Breaking Bad. I'm about 5 episodes behind at the moment because I've got a day job of trying to run a business.
So, but the announcement today, does that help?
Based on what I've seen, yes. In that, I think the idea that were looking to contribute a third of someone's salary of your team, when by default, if you're in that position anyway, you're losing money in every other way, whether it's property costs not negotiated, whether it's so yes, in principle, yes, it's a massive thing, because the other one was just not feasible. It would have made zero difference to my business, whereas this could make a difference in terms of keeping staff. So
there's the job support scheme in the sense of payment to staff, but there's also retrospective grants that you can apply for now. Presumably you'll be doing that. Might that make the difference as well?
It will do, and that will, every little helps in that regard, and that's appreciated. I know there's some frustration in the north that we've been effectively on Tier 2 for a while, and all it takes is for London to be on Tier 2 for 5 minutes, and the rules are changed. But I'm not one to think like that. I'm just delighted that the powers that be are listening to the guys in London, and there's a bit of parity in terms of it being retrospectively applied.
So London shouted loudest is what you're saying?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Sujith, life for you let's remind ourselves what life is like in Tier 1. I've been in Tier 3 since time began, it feels. So in Tier 1, as far as the restaurant is concerned, the main restriction is a 10 p.m. curfew, Sujith, is that right?
Yes, at the moment it's just the 10 p.m. curfew, but that hurts as well because you lose out on a seating and the last guest walks in at 8:15 and has to leave by 10. So at the moment it is what it is, and 10 p.m. curfew we are at the moment. But looking at Manchester and the other areas, we're still honoured and privileged that we are okay so far.
Yes, and so do you get any direct help at all at the moment, or are you having just to cope with the situation as it is? I'm talking about help from the government financially.
Help from the government financially at the moment, as it stands, I would say it is just a furlough scheme, which is going to end in about 2 weeks' time.
Right. Okay. So the initial furlough scheme of 80% of wages.
That's right. That's the only thing we see at the moment. So yeah, that's where it stands.
And we hear some companies, Sujith, say, it would be better for us we're in Tier 3 than Tier 2. That's what they were saying up till today because of the help that was available. If you went into Tier 2, you'd be able to take advantage of Rishi Sunak's new offers today and retrospective grants, etc. How would that affect your business going up into Tier 2? Because I know you're worried you'll be going there pretty soon.
Yes, because at the moment, hospitality is in a very bad state and the struggle is still on. And many people losing their jobs, and the footfall is going low in the restaurants, the consumer confidence at an all-time low. So, I mean, with the news we hear and everything, the confidence is very low. The suppliers are not stacking enough stuff, so they know everybody's on a back foot at the moment, looking at the news and Tier 3 and the way it's going. So confidence is low, restaurants are empty. I mean, it's just Friday and Saturday that's clicking, but even then, you got a restriction till about 10 o'clock. So all in all, the picture looks gloomy, and the news that we read doesn't help.
No, David, anecdotally from what I find, just nipping out to restaurants and bars and stuff, is that for many who run them, it's the notion of you can only go out with your family bubble that's been the final straw, because people aren't going out as much. You go out, meet your mates and everything in the pub, not necessarily go out with your bubble.
Yes, that's a big problem. Again, London now into tier 3, into tier 2. There's this debate about how bonkers is it that you can sit across a desk with someone in a COVID secure way in the workplace, but then you can't sit across a restaurant. And I think that's a really important discussion. I don't call it a loophole. I call it a legitimate way to do business, particularly when we've been in this predicament for so long. So that, again, I applaud London for having that kind of conversation, because one thing I fundamentally believe, and everyone in hospitality does, is where all the infections are happening at home, and all this is doing, and I know this with teenagers, that it's encouraging people to socialise at home, and it's difficult because the infections are not happening at homes and not in hospitality.
I did wonder that just out loud at the weekend, whether people, the pubs where I went were empty at the weekend, and the owners were saying it's because of not being able to meet friends, and I just wondered if people were doing that privately in homes and breaking the rules, but who knows. Guys, can I end just asking a question which on the face of it may seem crass, but it just gives an illustration of where we are now. David, I'll start with you again. Do you think the way you are at the moment, David, the way things are set up, compensation, everything, public attendance at your restaurants, will you be here when this is over as a business, do you think, David?
Currently in tier 3, very unlikely. Because I'm at about 30 to 35% of my normal sales, and that is just not sustainable. If I could do 60 to 70% of my sales, which was at the beginning of tier 2 or definitely tier 1, I'll definitely be here at the other end.
Good luck.